Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the webinar. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes for more participants to join in. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the webinar on the recent RBI guidelines for digital payment security governance. Now, before we start with today's webinar, I would just like to give you a brief introduction about RISPRO. Now, RISPRO is an Indian risk consulting management firm, and we are based out of Mumbai, and we also have presence in 7 other cities. We have been in the business for about 10 plus years and have served more than 525 clients. We have a strong team member base of 65 plus professionals. RISPRO has 5 business verticals. These are risk advisory, IT advisory, trainings, technology, and recruitment. Now, in terms of the services that we offer within these verticals, within risk advisory, we help clients with internal audits, IFC reviews, ERM and risk assessments, legal compliance audits, and SOP documentation and reviews. For IT advisory, we can assist with GDPR compliances, SSA 18 reviews, PDP, that is personal data protection reviews, HIPAA compliances, and various other IT audits. For training, we can assist clients with enterprise risk management trainings, risk assessments and mitigation, anti-money laundering, cyber and information security, and various other GRC topics as per the client's requirements. For technology, we have various softwares like the internal audit software, risk management, legal compliance, and the third-party risk management software. Also, we help clients in terms of their recruitment if they require risk and audit professionals and virtual risk managers. Now, in terms of the flow of today's presentation, so the presentation will be for about 40 to 50 minutes, and the last 10 minutes will be left for the question and answer. Now, during the webinar, all the participants will be on mute mode, that is listen only mode. So in case any participant is unable to hear the presenter or is unable to view the presentation, I would request you to please refresh your screen or try re-logging in. And in case the issue still persists, please drop us a message in the chat box and we'll get back to you. And if any participant has any questions with regards to what has been explained during the webinar, please message in the chat or questions panel, and we'll take up these questions towards the end of the webinar. Now, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Ashok Agarwal. Mr. Ashok is a Senior Vice President, Risk Advisory at RISPRO India. Now, Mr. Ashok carries about more than 25 years of IT leadership experience in IT risk and assurance services and has also served 4 years overseas. Now, Mr. Shuk started his career as a system administrator and he's moved to IT leadership roles like IT management, information security management, and technology audit. In terms of Mr. Ashok's qualifications, he is a postgraduate in economics. He has done CISA, CRISC, and certifications like ISO 20001, 27001, SENS, and CAMS. Now, in terms of the work experience, Mr. Ashok has worked in multiple banks like PNB, DCB, and Bank Dhofar and Muscat, heading the technology audit. He's managed multiple technology assignments for various clients and sectors like the BFSI, NBFC, and insurance sectors, covering areas like cybersecurity, RPA, network, and technology infrastructure of data centers. Mr. Ashok's proficiency lies primarily in IT risk analysis and also in developing a risk-based IT framework, adopting ISO 27000 standards for the clients, and conducting concurrent audits of data centers. As a principal project assurance lead, Mr. Ashok has done various health checkups of core banking solutions. He is also an SRS working group member at RBI Mumbai and has helped implement the MICR technology with the image option for the first time in India. Furthermore, he has introduced innovative use of the data analytic techniques in Axis and DCB Bank using the audit command language. And finally, to conclude, he has vast experience in establishing IT governance across all IT operations and managing data centers of banks. I'd now like to hand over to Mr. Ashok to start the presentation.
Thank you, Anita. Am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Ashok.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much joining this webinar despite in pandemic situation. Today, the topic of discussion is my screen. Whether my screen is visible now. Now visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible now.
Now visible. Okay. So during pandemic situation, you have joined this webinar, and today topic of discussion is the digital payment security control. The role of digital in today's environment, and particularly the BFSI. Digital payment is playing a very important role because of customer convenience. So it is gaining the high importance to the security control around it. So RBI has done some kind of exercise and come out certain kind of, you can say, framework or a governance. So if any bank goes for digitization or launching digital product and services, there should be some kind of benchmark, like you can compare with the baseline security hardening in case of the hardening of various servers. Similar way, some kind of framework should be in place. That way, RBI done a very good exercise and the control around the digitization or the digital product and services. Just I will go through one overview. Though digitization is not a new topic, it is known to everyone since 20. And since 20, if you look at the history means the kind of mandate, directives, circulars, and advisory issued by RBI that started from 2011 in the form of the first started in the information security, electronic banking, IT risk management in 2011. Post that in 2016, so there was a change in the cyber security. So cyber security framework RBI came out, which also talks about the control around the digital product and services, including cyber security. And if you talk about the master direction on access criteria payment system, lot of payment systems are there. You can compare with this various payment gateway and the mode of payment. So that way RBI issued in 27 some kind of master direction. When you are accessing different payment gateway or payment system, what should be the framework? That is also a guideline they issued in the past. And the storage system they issued in 2018 another data localization, if you recollect. Okay, the data of the Indian customers should remain within the geographically boundary of the India. Then there is a, whenever the customer service is there, definitely there is a customer grievances, we have to resolve it. So online dispute resolution related, in terms of we are offering the digital payment, the RBI issued directives on the 2020. Similarly, the various payment aggregator comes into the picture when we talk about the digitization, means payment gateway, and payment gateway, various payment aggregator are there. For that, RBI came in 2020 some kind of guidelines. Now, at the end in 2021, during pandemic, RBI came out a master directive on the digital payment security. Here, mean to say कि digital payment around digital pay product and services, the what should be the control framework should be there. So this is the history of the digitization. Let us move to what are those control or guidelines issued by the RBI. If you talk about this, the guidelines issued, these are the five chapters are there. This is more or less similar if you recollect on the cyber security or any other guidelines. So where normally they talk about the chapter wise. So chapter 1 talk about the applicability, to whom these guidelines are applicable, and what is the compliance timelines. Chapter 2 broadly talks about the general control which applicable to all product services under digitization umbrella. So if you go by the subdomain of this, mainly governance and risk management, some control which are applicable across all the product, application security life cycle, what could be the authentication framework, fraud risk management, reconciliation, and customers protection and the grievances. So that way, some the generic control applicable across all the product and services. And the third is which very well known, everybody who has account with the banking definitely doing the transaction through the internet banking. So internet banking related. And the chapter 4th talks about the mobile banking, and chapter 5th talks about the card payment security, which could be debit, credit, and the prepaid cards. Let us go by chapter wise. If we talk about the applicability, to whom these guidelines are applicable. One is the scheduled commercial bank. It includes all private and private sector bank, excluding regional rural bank. The second is the small finance bank, which is around 10 or 12 banks are there. So those small finance bank, and the some payment banks are there, and credit card issuing NBFC. Well, those NBFC which are involved in issuing the credit card. And whenever RBI implement, normally whenever you issue a guideline on the RBI and the banking, so banking act is applicable. When you are talking about the payment and settlement, then payment settlement is different act is there. And you are talking about the IT, that way IT act is applicable. These three acts are applicable when we talk about this. So it meets all the requirement. And timelines of implementation, what RBI said through this directive, every organization, means all commercial bank, small finance bank, payment bank, and credit card bank should come out, reassess their entire security posture in context of digital security guidelines, and come out some kind of gap assessment and their action plan within 6 months from the issuance of these guidelines. These guidelines issued on 18th February 2021. That way, the timelines to achieve this compliance is the August 18, 2021. Okay. The chapter 2 talks about that general control. General control, when is the governance. Governance, like you can compare with the IT governance, corporate governance. Similarly, the digital product and service, there should be a governance. Governance should have some kind of policy and procedure. Policy should be for digital product and services, that should be approved by the board of directors. In the similar line, if you recollect with the cyber security, when RBI issue the cyber security guidelines, they come out you create a distinct cyber security policy. In the same case, each organization who are offering this digital product and services should come out with a policy. That policy should be by the board of directors. Purpose is when you are launching a product, ultimate ownership lies with the board of directors of that organizations. And the beauty of this digital control security, it talks about the payment security requirement of the functionality. Functionality means when you are conceptualizing a product, you want to launch a certain digital product, and that functionality, you have to do the some kind of risk assessment. Security is more of the CIA, confidentially integrity and availability of that product, and performance should be available at the point of need. So FSP means functionality, security, and performance. You have to do some kind of end-to-end security requirement based on your risk perception, risk management. It means the risk management process should be, each product should be a risk management, should be risk assessment should be done as a part of you can say digital governance. Okay, and you are quite familiar that each of these product had some kind of product limit based on the operational risk concept. Say for I can make a transaction from the ATM 20,000, from net banking say for 50,000, 1 lakh or 2 lakh. So that kind of risk perception based on the operational risk should be something there. This is more of the risk fixing the risk appetite for each product. And the bank should conduct a security risk assessment in terms of what, and one is the digital product. When you are conceptualizing product, you just make sure functionality, security, and performance wise, okay, you conduct the risk assessment keeping in view the technology involved, and what are those reconciliation, interoperability, data storage and data privacy. There should be some kind of risk assessment which demonstrate you have gone through end-to-end these are the control required for launching any product and services. And for this as a part of internal audit process, some kind of internal audit process should be in place. And your digital payment architecture should be robust and scalable. Scalable means, suppose if product is launched, you have a X number of transaction. Tomorrow your transaction goes 100x. That your product should be scalable and should be robust. Key performance indicator means you should come out some kind of key performance indicator which is required to monitor the functionality, security, and performance of a digital product and services. The second subdomain is the application security lifecycle. Application security lifecycle, which talks about all IT application related. Your application architecture should be multi-tier architecture. Reason is, if that takes your redundancy, whenever some certain attack is there, so that way it is redundant. And the SDLC piece means system development life cycle for each hopes, means right from the requirement till the product launching. For each steps you should keep in mind the security. Means your, suppose you are developing a product either by external like a fintech or by internal that organization, the SDLC of that should keep in mind the secure coding concept. Okay, escrow arrangement is applicable when you acquire any application from a third party. So there should be some kind of arrangement so that this is the already control. It was in place. Now it is a mandatory in current. Review of the source code should be done, and VAPT should be done for that application. Threat modeling approach should be co-brand or co-develop. Suppose you go for co-brand or co-develop, so what are those threats if we go for that concept? Conduct risk assessment means you have to conduct risk assessment and no roommate scanning of and develop a sound internal control system. So means your application life cycle, where we are earlier we were confined to that application only, it talks about the end-to-end functionality, security, and the performance. Now the third aspect is the authentication. Authentication means your application should facilitate multi-factor. Multi-factor means suppose a customer is making a transaction, so it should not only the credential, it should be followed by some kind of token, OTP, other factor. Adaptive authentication, suppose if I am making a transaction from location X, and in a certain point of time, say for in another transaction I make a transaction on location Y, and there is a time lag. In these locations should have a particular time lag. So it should ask for the adaptive, means when your location is moving very fast, some kind of additional authentication, adaptive authentication should be there. And the instead of failed, if failed login attempts are there, so some kind of the, because now these, earlier it was a more of the you can say suggested control. Now it is uh, after digitization, it is coming in the kind of mandatory you have to follow. When you are doing a either gap risk assessment or the application assessment for a digital product, then in that case the field, if field long attempts are there, so the account should be disabled. That is the scenario. Suspicious transaction behavior, you should have some kind of monitoring mechanism in place, fraud analysis, and a staff self education, and developing the SOP to handle the incident. Means your entire process, when either is an incident related, to handle those incidents, it should be a quite transparent. That is the purpose of the digital product. The next subdomain is the reconciliation and customer protection, means more of the customer grievances redressal. Here earlier scenario was, suppose you lost some money, you make a complaint, eh, it takes a lot of time, you are not aware. Now in this case, what digitization security control says, the reconciliation should be near to real time, means within 24 hours of the settlement you should complete the reconciliation. And for any usage you should develop some kind of process, and the your dispute resolution should be the online. Earlier the complaint, whosoever makes the complaint will not know what is the status of his complaint. Now in this case, the expectation of RBI, your dispute resolution should be online for digital payment product and services. Similarly, uh, the if you, when you are offering the digital product, there should be a written consent. It means when you are verifying a digital product in any application, so there should be some kind of acknowledgement from the customer, then you can allow to use that product. So that is the expectation here. Now we can move to Anita, can you launch the question number 1?
Sure, sir. Yes, I've launched the poll. So I'll close it in about 30 seconds. So the question is, which act is applicable for digital payment security? Options being the Banking Regulation Act 1949, Payment and Settlement Act 2007, the IT Act 2000, and all of the above. I'll be closing the poll in another 5 seconds.
Thank you. The poll result is 80% all of the above, which is answer is correct. And 13% IT Act, means those were considering only IT Act, that is not the case, because functionality and the performance I took the criteria also. So that way it is not limited to the IT security related. It is more of the product functionality also. And same for payment and settlement. Payment settlement, that is the for the access related, this act was applicable. Now in case of digital, all three acts are applicable, because I will give you the logic. It is applicable on the regulated entity. Regulated entity falls under Banking Regulation Act. And because it is a digitization and which are the entity playing in this digitization, so the aggregator are playing. So for them applicable 2000 Payment and Security Act and IT Act because of security. That way all three acts are applicable. Thank you. So now can I move to chapter 3? Let us take the internet banking as a digital product. Here I made an attempt which were earlier optional or some kind of features may or may not be there, because these features you may find in bank 1 but not in bank 2. That was the scenario. Now, keeping in view the digital payment security controls, governance or the guidelines, the brute to just to mitigate the threat of brute force and denial of service, what they say, adaptive authentication is the expectation and multi-factor authentication. Now, those banks who do not have a adaptive earlier in the past, adaptive means if you are making a transaction location 1 and your location 2, after some time you fly and after some time you are making second transaction, that way it should ask for the adaptive means another set of the authentication, then you can make a transaction. A multi-factor means so definitely the password token. DNS cache poisoning. So here जो है what they recommend कि DNS sec or encryption you have to implement it. The secure handling cookie means when you are doing a review, you just check up whether the set cookie HTTP header is there or not. Okay, when you are uh, uh, mostly in India, I think each website they have some kind of virtual keyboard that is mainly the keylogger to meet the threat of the keylogger. So that was early in the past, but maybe one of the few of the bank you may not find the virtual keyboard. Now it is mandatory. Session timeout on online activity. Normally, sometimes what happens, customer immediately close the session and session remain active. Now it says that the session should be automatically terminated. So when anybody is doing the review for any digital product like a internet banking, he should cross check when session is terminated abruptly. It should be terminated. It should not remain active. Secure delivery of password. So password, the way it is delivered, that way it should be secure. Password security. So here the two concepts are there. One is the password validity. So earlier some maybe normally there is some kind of validity is there, 90 days, 180 days. That depends on bank to bank based on their risk perception, and that is the password validity. And the change of password means when you are uh, your facility initiate first time, or you are getting a default password from the bank or the internet banking service provider, so that should be changed immediately. So here the catch point is when you are reviewing the internet bank application, so if you are getting a password first time, so immediately the application should allow to change default password. Internet banking application access through external website, you can recorrect it. Suppose you are making a payment for credit card, debit card, any credit card or any payment. So ultimately you choose the bank. This is the bank I want to make payment through a particular payment gateway. Then you will find the screen of this internet banking will differ whatever they have actual they in their login and credential. So here the uniform look should be there, look uniform look and feel of the website if accessed from another website. Suppose you are accessing, suppose X bank may be say for the Axis Bank. If you are going to Axis Bank website, you are logging, the page appear on the Axis Bank website should be the same when you are making the payment through Axis Bank through another payment gateway. That is the control intent. So now earlier some were just like a suggestive. Now it becomes after the digital, it is a just like a mandatory. So here the particular para, this are there. When you go to the, can you launch the next question, poll question?
Yes, sir. So we have the next question. Is there any specific timeline for the compliance with digital payment security? Options being yes, August 18th, 2021, yes, August 18th, 2022, yes, 6 months after the initial gap assessment, and no such timelines. I'll be closing the poll in another 10 seconds.
uh, I've gone through the poll result, and it talks about August 18, 2021, which is the right answer, which is 26%. I will just explain you what is the expectation of the RBI. RBI expectation is 6 months from the issuance of these directives or the mandate. That is 18th February they have issued. So within 6 months means August 18, 2021. Every organization should go for a review and find out those gaps and come out with the actionable. So the first compliance is to conduct a gap analysis. That is the compliance. So that way the first answer is correct. The second answer is more of a just a creating a confusion. And 6 months, it is not 6 months after initial gap. The gap assessment, which is the part of compliance you should do, then you will come out a roadmap, because implementing those control you require some kind of roadmap. So the gap assessment exercise, which is a part of compliance, should be carried out within 6 months from issuing of the guidelines, and the timelines is August 18, 2021. Thank you. So now next is the mobile banking. Everybody using mobile, and now mobile, a lot of threats you will find. Now earlier, some of the control were implemented by the early, when you are discussing on the history of the mandate directive issue by the guidelines, and here I have taken some kind of major control, which is the expectation under the digital payment security governance. Device policy enforcement means, suppose you are using a device X, so that device should be authenticated. That is the expectation. Secure download from the Play Store. Earlier, when you say for your Android device or iPhone device, there was some kind of vulnerability where you may download a unauthorized application or a application which is deployed by a hacker. So that is why your Play Store should secure download from the Play Store. So the process of the Play Store should be in such a way it ensure the proper validation, then launching that application. Maintain a single version across all platform means, other scenario was there, you have a mobile banking application and more than one version of a application are running, scenario one. Or when you are using a mobile, okay, and so the version should not be a unique version, should be one, so that there should not be inconsistency or confusion among the customer. On detection of anomaly and direct second is the next control is, whenever any vulnerability is found, immediately the service provider is directed to upgrade the application. So to upgrade the application, they should do continuous threat assessment, accordingly issue the upgrade, and feature should be, when upgrade is released, automatically it should apply to the application or ask for the update. Device encryption and secure this is old जो है, new network connection identification. So sometimes you find a new connection, you identify, and that is connected. So now the connection, whenever it is connected to a new network, uh, that should be identified, and some kind of acknowledgement should be there whether this application moved to that the network. Application sandbox or containerization means it is a more of the mobile security. Containerize means your application is deployed just like a container, means fortified within a container. You can compare it just like a DMZ zone or the containerization. Identify remote access and the private application access. So application the LT malware capability should be there. So these are the some of the control which I feel they have given as a just like should be the part of the risk, because application of each control depend on your risk assessment. Suppose if you do the risk assessment and you say a particular control is not applicable, that way at the time of risk assessment you should demonstrate this control is not applicable because this is already mitigated. If you in your assessment, if you say the risk is not mitigated, then you have to apply those controls. So these are the list of control expected in the mobile payment security. Can we move to next? Okay. Can you open the poll?
Yes, sir. So the next question we have is, what is the objective of digital payment security governance? Your options being: develop a policy for digital payment products and services, align the business strategy and inherent risk of product or service, document payment security requirement of the digital product, or all of the above options. I'll be closing the poll in another 10 seconds.
Uh, the poll result says correct answer is all of the above options are applicable, where 82% has given the correct answer. Now the 12% gave a document payment security requirement of digital product. Okay, that is the subset. The aligned business strategy and inherent risk of product, that is also a subset. Means for objective digital payment security comprises all. You should develop a policy. You should have a business strategy aligned, that is more of the part of IT governance piece, and you should come out a risk assessment, do the risk assessment, and all end-to-end security assessment you have to do. Accordingly, you have to implement the suggested control. So the correct answer is all of the above. Thank you. Now next chapter is the chapter 4, that is card payment. Here the card payment is a digital product. The card are various types: credit and debit card and prepaid card. And these cards are two category: physical card and virtual card. As you know, all these payment card, they require a PCI DSS, payment card industry data security in standard compliance. So here security is evaluated based on these standards, which is also a part of this payment card industry requirement. PADSS, this is more of the application system which are running for to provide the services of card services. PCI, PTS, VOI. So PIN transaction, you can just understand ki your PIN, when see you, the moment you apply PIN, so PIN security and PIN should be a this PIN is maintained by a hardware security module, and that should be a tamper proof. And PCI PTS PIN means the transmission of PIN that should be encrypted, and man in the middle should not able to decrypt it. Okay. Now, in case of point of sale terminal, point of sale should be validated against the PCI P2PE program. This kind of more of the assessment. So the digital security payment governance talks about your point of sale should be validated, reviewed, or the audited on the standard PCI P2PE. Point of sale should be approved by this PTS program, and acquired should ensure the security of card payment infrastructure. So that is the expectation those were using this POS terminal. Now the hardware security module, I think everybody you know all these pin which are generated or sent to the client for making their transactions is maintained by the hardware security module. Eh, Here expectation in the digital context is for all activity the enable logging and tamper proof. Tamper proof means the moment you touch this device, okay, definitely it will capture your logging. Somebody has physically touched this device. Logging means all activity who are you the administrator of this, their activity are recorded. Redundancy means this is more of the control for the HSM. Redundancy means if one is fail, another should be available. So what digital payment says, clustering is the approach should be applied. You can put one or two HSM device, and that should be used by a many player. If cost is the factor, access to HSM device, that should be the PIM device, more of the privilege anti-money. So well, it is a more of a one another check. Means here expectation in the digital context is HSM device, if you find an organization directly without PIM, then it is a exception based on the digital security guidelines. Separate ACL means access control list. PIN generation directly HSM device, it should not be passed through any of the terminal or the workstation, and CVV generation should be done through HSM and security management. So these are the expectation. Uh, Basically, which were some earlier it was some kind of suggested control, now it become a part of the digital security payment governance. Now day to day you are withdrawing money from the ATM, and recently RBI in June 18 they issue some kind of circular mandate. These ATM machines should be reviewed in context of cyber security, and those cyber security guidelines are part of the digital security also. uh, Say for BIOS password should be changed from default. USB port should be disabled. But nowadays we earlier majority in bank, if you check all ATM machine, the review is done, so that is done the around the machine, not inside the machine. Now expectation digital payment security is that the security hardening of the machine, ATM machine should be done. What are the component? BIOS password, disabling USC, disabling auto run facility, latest page application, time based admin access means you want to access the admission, there are two FAs should be there. Anti skimming device should be there. Whitelisting means nobody can uh, deploy any unauthorized solutions, and card details should not be a readable format, should be encrypted, and no remit. So your card data should not be stored in plain text. Upgrade all ATM from the either Windows 7 or Windows XP. Definitely you will not find no, but Windows 7 is still some machine are running. So that is the expectation of the RBI in terms of the digital product and services. These are the pointer I collected from these RBI directives, and which is based on these are the major we should focus upon when anybody either reviewing or implementing. Means either if audience is part of the IT management team, you should make sure that these controls are implemented or not. Those who part of the assurance services, they should make sure when they are doing review of these services, product or services or the application system. Thanks, Anita. Can you just pull up some one or two questions?
So we have one more poll. Can I launch that?
Yeah.
Sure. So here's the last poll question. How many digital products or services are running in your organization? Are they in the range of 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 11, or beyond 11? While our participants are answering the poll questions, if any participants have any queries, I would request them to list that down in the questions or the chat tab so that we can take it up once the webinar is done. I'll be closing the poll in another 10 seconds.
The poll outcome is around 45% they have a 3 to 5. 3 to 5 means internet banking, mobile banking, debit card, credit card. These are the basic services. Okay. Another is 36% is 6 to 8. Means one or two, say for you can take a CASA as a onboarding services. They have offered a digital product. So that could be the scenario. 9 to 11 and 9% means say for assets size, they have lost some product. More than 11, some kind of another services they have lost. So that is great. And now ultimate this message from this webinar is this is a mandatory requirement informed by the RBI. Each organization either because everybody has a digital product. The going by this answer, each organization has a digital product. They should go by some kind of gap assessment within the before the 18th August and come out a roadmap. If that is not done, ultimate there it will be treated as a non-compliance with the RBI directives. Anita, can you pick up questions?
Yes, we are yet to receive questions. So participants, if you have any queries, I request you to please mention them in the questions tab so that we can take it up. Yes, so we don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you unmute the audience? Any audience can ask the question directly.
Sir, I'm sorry that option is not available in the current setup
Okay,
to
fine.
unmute the participants.
So thank you very much for giving the time for this webinar, and kindly go through the RBI directives and make sure when you are launching digital product, either in the role of the either IT implementation as a or the you can as a IT auditor. So those control compliance you should prepare as a part of your checklist when you are reviewing those digital product and services. That will
Ashok sir, sorry to interrupt you. We have two questions. Can we take them up right now?
sure.
Yeah. So one question we've received is it mandatory for all cooperative banks?
Yes, except our regional rural bank, it is applicable to all.
All right. How much? I'm sorry, sir. Yes, please continue.
Uh, there is a, I will go to applicability. Just give me 1 minute. There is a concept of regulated entities. Cooperative bank, NBFC, and the banking, commercial bank, all are regulated entity. It is applicable. It is not applicable only on RRB. Yeah, Anita. Next question.
Yes. How much of the new guidelines are in sync with the PCJ compliance?
PCJ. J, I'm not understanding. PC, can you just?
PCI, sorry.
PCI, yes. So, can you just repeat the question?
Sure, sir. The question is, how much of the new guidelines are in sync with the PCI compliances?
Yes, I will give one example for PCI compliance. PCI talks about the data security end-to-end life cycle, and the digital guidelines say you can't store the data, customer data on your device. Means, suppose if any website is storing your card data, then it is an exception on the based on the digital payment security governance. Whereas the PCI, it does not restrict. Okay, the PCI talks about the entire card data processing, and here it include PCI, and over and above certain other guidelines are there. For that, I have given you one example: storage of card data on a various website.
So can we take one more question?
Yes.
Yes. So if one is complying with the PCI controls, could we use the same documents, assessments, and reports as supporting substance to the new guidelines?
PCI applicable to card. So yes, for if a card is the product, then fine. If you are reviewing the other than card, definitely this PCI will not be applicable.
Yes, sir. Those are all the questions we have for now.
Fine. So what is the next?
Yes.
Can we?
So we can conclude the webinar, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much for
So
your time.
yeah, you please give us thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashok, for your time, and thank you to all the participants for joining us today for this webinar. If you do have any more queries regarding the content that was explained during this webinar, please feel free to drop us a mail at info@riskpro.in, and we'll definitely get back to you. And thanks again, Mr. Ashok, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Anita, for a nice coordination, and thank you all participants. They have given a time despite their routine day-to-day tasks and the pandemic situation. Thanks a lot to Anita and all participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.